Hello and welcome to Week 3 here in the LCS Dome, powered by Alienware, where due to overwhelmingly popular demand, we're bringing back Jeopardy! And we'll tackle the biggest questions in the league until the timer reaches 0, and we jump into Champion Select. As always, I am joined by Mark Crumbs, and probably to kick things off, but let's go ahead and pull up the standings, see where all of our teams stand coming into the day. Cloud9 still up top the table, 5-0 stands their record, one more game left for them to play in Week 3 here today. Dignitas, the sole team without a win, as Immortals picked up their first of the split yesterday, 1-4 now for them, and it was the Academy lineup that did it. But let's talk about that C9 squad who continues to impress.
Yeah, they've been incredible. It's been 78 days since they lost. We'll be keeping track of this, and I have a pretty good feeling that they're going to hit triple digits on this one, so we might need a new graphic pretty soon.
All right, more homework for the graphics team. I'm sure they're excited.
I love giving
for
them
that.
more stuff to do.
3 more weeks. I think that's 3 weeks, right? About 22 days to hit 100. So if they can make it 3 more weeks with wins across the board, they'll have to do that. It's clear, though, that C9 are the top dogs. So what I want to challenge you guys here on the desk is to decide who is the second best team in the LCS with little points, counterpoints. So first, we're going to Prolly. Who are you taking?
I'm going to go ahead and say EG Evil Geniuses. I think they are the second best team right now. And I think they have, and the reason why is I think they have the highest skill cap outside of C9, and they're the team that's gotten closest to reaching that skill cap. If we remember, they spent the first 4 weeks of spring kind of finding their play, and then in the last half of spring really kind of taking off. And during this time, they're the only team to take a game from C9 in a best of 5. And since spring, coming into summer, they're also the only team to have a perfect game so far. And a big part of EG that was kind of questionable was how Kumo was playing in spring, but in summer his stats have improved. He's the highest in CSD, XP, and gold at 10 minutes above top laners, and I would say EG has probably the best grasp on the meta. They're playing the Volibear, they're playing aggressive junglers, and they're playing range support. So all this makes me feel like they're reaching that second spot.
Yeah, whatever. You forgot one point. They lost in the playoffs to my team, FlyQuest, for who I think is the second best team.
EG beat FlyQuest 2, by the way, in playoffs.
Yeah, but that was, when they're still leveling up with solo, which is my point. They've been leveling up with solo for a while now, and now they have one of the best early games. They have a ton of kills and assists at 15. They have the most kills per minute, combined kills per minute, and they have the second lowest major deficit in the league behind only Cloud9. So this is a team that's playing incredibly well, like you're saying, and they're still getting better. The same we talk about Kumo leveling up, they've been integrating with solo, and they've brought Mash in. So this is a team that doesn't have any weaknesses individually that I can point out. They work well as a team. They've revamped their play style to be more aggressive, and they're doing it while incorporating new talent.
Well, strong cases for both of these teams. Crumbs, where do you fall in the argument?
I like where Prolly was going for. I thought EG looked good until they got stomped yesterday by TSM, so they're already out of the question.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
And then I thought FlyQuest, okay, surely they could be the second best placed team, but they haven't faced anybody that's really tough competition. When they faced TSM, they just entered the draft away, so we didn't even get to really see what the TSM that BDG did to FlyQuest if it was an even matchup. So I want to see FlyQuest have a better schedule, and look at that. When they face Team Liquid, when they face CG, if they can beat those two opponents, I'll concede. I'll give it to FlyQuest. But until then, it's completely up in the air, and we're overreacting.
What do you... Someone is the second best team. We might not know
it. No, there isn't.
Someone has to be the
Someone
second
has
best.
to be.
Yeah.
Not yet.
What do you mean not yet? Just it's a
race, right? They're pushing each other. There's a lot of teams because sure, EG and FlyQuest, but TSM, they stomp teams and they lose teams. Team Liquid is leveling up as well, and COG somehow is still in the race, just managing
so one of
to
them's
be
the best
in there.
right
Well,
now.
in the argument of semantics, then, Mark would win because FlyQuest is 4-1, which does put them in second place with one game to play. But if they lose, they fall into a tie with Counterlogic Gaming, Team Liquid. I appreciate both of the cases you guys brought to the table. If it's tough to discuss and land on which team is actually second right now, my next curiosity goes to which team right now is the most improved of all of our teams between spring and summer. So, Mark, what are you thinking here?
I'm going to go with CLG. I think they've been really good so far throughout the early parts of the split. Rune's been looking a lot better. And what stands out to me is that they've done all this improvement without any changes. These are players actually starting to play better as a team. This isn't like they brought in a new coach or a new AD carry or anything like that. This is the same 5 guys from the second half of spring, completely turning their season around and already having more wins than they had last split. I think that's super impressive for them, and why I think that they are the most improved team this split. Their KDAs have basically doubled across the board. Like, this is improvement in the strictest definition of the term.
Okay. Crumbs?
I mean, I like CLG's trajectory from 10th to the spot they're in now, but then the 9th place team from spring, Team Liquid, has also been really stepping up. I think that this team has a ton of potential. They have a new coach, which improvement. Then you also have Jensen being a more focal point. They actually competed fairly closely against Cloud9 just this Friday, so I think that this team has a much greater trajectory in store than what CLG has, and I think they will end up being the most improved team and surpass CLG.
Probably get in here. Which side do you fall on?
I mean, one of Mark's points about, like, there was no changes, so that leads to more improvement, I definitely disagree with. I would say a change can be an improvement in itself, and maybe that's the hardest improvement to make because you're replacing something and bringing something new that happens to work. So I'm
Yeah, you didn't improve. You just got a new thing. Like, I didn't improve my car by working on it. I just bought a better car. It's not an improvement.
It's okay. Interesting, right?
You just bought a better coach.
It's more like
But so
pieces,
here's the
pieces
question
in the
mark.
car.
I was going to say, at what point do you consider it being a brand new team? Because if you're only replacing like one or two pieces, is that the same as changing one or two pieces of the engine?
I call it an upgrade. Like when you swap out some new RAM into your computer. You didn't improve your RAM. You upgraded your.
No, but holistically, the team improved, the computer improved, if RAM improved, all right?
That's true.
No one cares that much about RAM.
Semantics.
I'm curious to know what the fans at home think for most improved team between spring and summer, so let us know. Hit us up at LUL Esports. We do have one more topic to discuss here, though, gentlemen. This one comes from Twitter directly. Today's LCS reminded me I could always go back to pro. So Mark Pry, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the truth of this statement.
I wish you guys gave me enough time. I would have found that video of the Renegades Baron.
Don't you worry.
That's
We
exactly
did it
not
for
tell
you,
you
my
what's
friends.
This is actually my last memory of Crumbs playing, was him dying to PvE minions in League of Legends.
I mean, I can defend
that was
this.
clean.
I can defend this. I want to hear you guys
nice.
say this.
I gotta say that wasn't that bad. I miss Crumbs in the LCS. He was always he'd be a fun interview and stuff.
That's true.
You don't want to be under that.
Hey, there's the Wukong, though, Mark. He was on the Wukong train way before anyone else.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay.
And the man can dance.
That
the
was
man can
he
dance.
wasn't playing then.
Here, I'll defend it.
That was
I'll
a little
defend my point. I'll defend my point, okay? Current meta right now, Trundle.
Right.
I can play Trundle just like the best of Trundle players. That is pretty easy to play. I don't need to
Okay.
play Lee Sin, right? I don't need to do that. LEC busted out the Ivern. I got the Ivern. So basically, I'm playing all the Boomer champions, and I'm not going to run it down. That's all you really need right now. I could do shot calling. I can be a good mediator within your team, and sometimes I do run it in solo queue, but I play it with pros in solo queue as well. So if I started really devoting myself to them, like, why not, right? At least start in Challenger, grind my way up, get some retired players. I think Lustboy wanted to also join in on this.
I saw that.
So
I saw you guys
we'll
were already
see.
starting to
We'll see what
theory
we can
craft
do.
a team there. So he's not going to be the star player. He's going to be the glue player, it sounds like, for the team that he joins. But
How generous.
yeah, a generous glue player. All right, we're stepping away, but as we go, we've seen an evolution in the top lane meta. So to help us keep track of what's hot and what's not, we've got Riv on the case with another edition of Oversimplified.
So Summer 2020 has seen a distinct shift in champions picked in multiple lanes. But the top lane has seen distinctly different approaches rise given the situation. Set entered the ring versus the likes of Aatrox, a blind pick staple, Ornn, ye old reliable tank, and Renekton, a snowball menace who can take over a game. And with no clear answer as to
I have an answer, Riv. It starts with a W and ends with an Wukong. It's the second highest global presence top laner, and it actually slams all those matchups.
Mark, please! You can't just barge in here willy-nilly. This is oversimplified, damn it! Plus, if it's so good...
Wukong's win rate is 58% in the LCK and 47% in the LPL, so clearly fine.
And what about EU?
They don't count.
Of course they don't count. If you don't mind. Next patch, you could see some shakeups with Ornn receiving a nerf to his passive, the Living Forge, where health and mana you get from items you make in lane retain their previous percentage, removing that in-lane boost. That coupled with a nerf to conquer and
you
death.
know who isn't getting nerfed? Wukong. Wukong didn't get nerfed.
You know what?
You can use his R twice. You can actually click it a second time. Do you think maybe that's why North America's not playing it? No one's told them yet? Maybe that's the problem. Hey, guys, you can use Wukong's ult the second time. You can reactivate it.
I guess this was top lane. Oversimplified. And now, it's time for sage advice from a literal world champion.
Hey again. Remember to always click the lantern. Seriously, it's not that hard. Just click it. It'll save you. What are you doing? Click the lantern.
This has been sage advice from a literal world champion.
Welcome back to the LCS, where I'm happy to announce that after a very intense bidding war between both local and international game show networks, the LCS won out in successfully locking down the hottest thing on the market right now, and that would be Jeopardy. That's right, we're back for another episode of everyone's favorite game show, Jeopardy. We got our 3 contestants here. Hope you guys are ready because we've got a couple really hard questions coming at you. So number 1, what team has the fastest average game time this split? Wow, Crumbs was quick. What's the answer, buddy?
Immortals.
That is incorrect.
Because it doesn't say winning or lose. It doesn't say if they won or lost.
That's
Yeah,
true.
he's already said you're wrong.
This is just average game time, and you are correct on that. So Mark was the second hand. I got to go to him.
I'm still just going to say Cloud9.
Wow. Okay, good guess, but it was pretty obvious, Mark. Probably.
Evil Geniuses?
There it is. That's the right answer. It's Evil Geniuses.
Wow.
The bait, of course, being Cloud9 by a slim margin. But Evil Geniuses' average game time is 28:45. Cloud9 is second, Mark, so good guess on that one. 29:18 for their time. That was probably the easiest question we had here for the day, so here we go. How many splits has Xmithy led the league in First Blood K plus A?
Oh, wow.
Probably his hands up.
Probably his hand is up.
I'm
Go
just
for
waiting
it,
to be
Mo.
called on.
Yeah, get him
All
up,
right.
Brandon.
I'm going to go ahead and say 3.
3. Good guess. Not quite. Anyone else?
Is there going
Hot
to
or
be any
cold?
hints?
Hot or cold?
No hints.
Can I ask?
No
can I-
hints on this one. No hints on. I will tell you this. Xmithy has had the most first bloods and assists in the LCS all time with 157. So he's the all-time leader to begin with. But how many splits has he led the league in these stats?
I mean, he's been playing since season 3, and he hasn't taken a split off. So that's
Crumbs has got his hand up. What are
I
you
got
thinking?
one. I'm going to say 6 because he's got 6 titles.
Incorrect. Mark, you get the final guess.
9.
Only 2. He's only led in that stat 2 splits out of all of them. So probably you were very close. It was 2015 spring on CLG and then 2017 summer on Immortals. It's good to have him back
I was
in the
pretty
lead.
close,
as
though,
the
huh?
You were? Yeah, you were pretty close with 9 there, my
I
friend.
was only more than 4 times too high, but I think I did pretty good.
All right, question number 3. A 0-death game is quite rare, and in a loss, it's even more difficult. It's only happened 277 times across 2,289 games. Remember, we're only requiring 1 player on the losing team to have 0 deaths.
Ultimate
So
KDA
which player has the most deathless losses all time?
Wow.
Reckless.
LCS player.
Oh, darn it.
LCS player, Mark.
Reading's-
I'm not going to
reading's hard.
count that
It's
as a
okay.
guess, and I'm going to let you try
It was
again
a
if you
joke,
want.
yeah.
Anyone else? Anyone got a guess?
So that's just rolling over and dying, right? Like not doing much.
0 deaths, but still losing the game. Which player has the
It's
most
got to
of
be
those?
a marksman
Okay, I got one.
or
I
a
will.
mid
Oh,
laner.
okay. Somebody's already got it. I saw Prawley's hands up first, so he's got a guess. Let's see what it is.
All right. I think it's normally 80 carries, but I'm going to guess Jensen?
Not quite. Crumbs, your hand is up.
Cody's son.
Nope. Mark.
Bjergsen.
All right, you guys clearly need a hint, so I'm going to give you 2 hints. They
It
are
is a marksman.
currently an active. Oh no, we're just going to give you the answer, I guess. It's Mash. All right, It's
I would
Mash.
have never guessed this, though.
With
so that's fair.
11 deathless losses, most in the LCS all time. There are a couple runners up, and one of you called them out. It was Jensen at 10, only 1 game behind. Definitely as well has 10 deathless losses. Then the next category,
Definitely's a good one.
Santorin, Lorlo, Cody-san, and Hakuho all have 9 deathless losses in their career history. We got one more question, the 4th and final one. Cloud9 has had 7 players that started their pro careers in Academy first. Not counting their current Academy roster, how many of these players have made it to the LCS stage? So out of those 7 players that started their pro careers on Cloud9 Academy, how many have made it to the LCS stage?
And are they active, or you mean like they
How many
played at a
games?
point?
They've at least played on the LCS stage once.
Okay, so
but
so
they had to have
Keith would
started
count.
in an academy, so it's not
Oh,
LCS to academy and back. You had to have
okay, so
started
Keith
your
is,
career
someone
in
like Keith
academy.
is out.
Exactly.
Okay, that's good to know.
All right.
Wow.
All right, Probably.
I'm going 6.
Very, very interesting guess. Not quite correct. Mark?
5.
Nope.
Damn
And
I'm
it.
trying to
crumbs.
use his hints.
So 3.
No, we had the
7?
closest guess was 6, but 7 is actually
7,
the
I was
correct
gonna-
answer. Now
Crumbs,
here's
you had
the
to go
thing.
the other way.
Here's the thing. The 7 that have played a significant number of games are Licorice, Contracts, Zazel, Blabber, Kumo, Diamond, Wiggly. Diamond has subbed in for an LCS match once.
That's what I
So
thought.
there you have it. It just goes to show.
That's what you thought.
Yeah, that's what he thought.
I
Yeah, that's what he thought,
miscalculated
but didn't
Diamond.
guess.
That one
Very
tricked me.
cool, though, because I just think it goes to show the investment of the Academy scene and what you can, the talent that can be found in Academy and ultimately make it to the LCS stage.
I'd be curious who else, because I know Team Liquid Academy has had like a lot of players on there who like didn't do well and then went somewhere else and did a lot better. I know that was a joke for a long time, so I'm curious who would have the most of these.
Right, who would be second behind Cloud9 or maybe
Yeah.
even eclipse them. You're exactly right. We'll have to get the stats team to do some digging. Now, it's time to turn our attention to the schedule for today. Today's games, they're going to kick off with 100 Thieves loading onto the Rift opposite TSM. We've got Golden Guardians getting a shot at FlyQuest in Game 3. All before we wrap up the weekend with the Bud Light League Lounge, where the Tigers, Crumbs, and Kobe will join me to take a look back on the weekend and celebrate all the moments that deserve a cold one. Let's dive straight into that first game of the day, though, shall we?
Let's
do it.
Let's do it. TSM versus 100 Thieves. Yesterday, TSM turned in their best game of the split, arguably taking down EG.
Yeah, and I think Bjergsen is a key person I'm going to look at for that game, because it was great to see him back on LeBlanc and popping off. I mean, as much as I like the experimentation with the Fiddlesticks mid, and he played it decently well, it's still just not the champion that I'm eager to see Bjergsen playing, and he was hopping over walls, blowing people up, landing chains. It was a great performance for him yesterday, and something that I hope they continue to build on by using him in aggressive champions.
It's tough to gauge TSM right now because their losses are so abysmal, yet their wins are so lopsided as well. So we have a lot of faith. Okay, if you can actually channel into what's getting you these wins, you could be a seriously top contender, but gotta shore up those heartbreaking losses like the one to Team Liquid or the one to FlyQuest. Those are losses that will really hurt because it's against the top teams as well.
Well, we talk a lot about Bjergsen having stepped up for the squad of TSM. I think we have to look at the person who's next to him in the jungle. Spica had a couple of tremendous performances himself, and on that topic of Spica, Crumbs has actually been keeping his eye on the jungle and turned in this breakdown on TSM's jungler.
Let's take a look at a set play TSM made Week 2 against IMT. We start things off with a late invade, and both teams ward their enemy blue buffs. The result? Both teams know that junglers are starting on the red side by themselves. Now, since Lee is doing a leashless start, this is going to free up top lane to bully out Soaz. This is the power of Set, being able to be uncontested on the wave, and he's going to use his time to build up a large minion wave. Now in the mid lane, this is the new tank Fiddlesticks. He has a very strong early clear that is hard to contest, so he's going to hard shove the wave as quickly as he can. Now, so when Spica goes for a level 2 invade on the blue buff, he knows that Trundle is not on TSM's blue, and he sees that the blast cone is gone, so he deduces that Potluck must be waiting for him. He bides his time, wards, and then hops over. Now, when Potluck thinks about contesting, Bjergsen's already shoved the wave, and he's well on his way, so Potluck is forced to run with his tail between his legs, and will be relegated to just doing his wolf camp and going to the other side of the map. Now Bjergsen will return to the mid lane and crash the second wave while Spica hits level 3 after finishing the Gromp. Now watch the timing on this. As soon as Spica shows up here, the wave top has crashed and Bjergsen is teleporting over. This is a really good 3-on-1 dive. There is no one coming to help Soaz. They kill him, but they know he's got teleport. He wouldn't miss a whole lot if he just TPs back and catches the whole wave. So they wait around for him and they go to kill him again. Now this dive is not going to be as clean as the first one, but they still get to take out Soaz. And despite Spica dying, this is exactly the kind of play we want to see our best teams make if they're to compete against Cloud9, the best teams in the world.
We've seen a lot of aggression out of TSM that has been lacking in previous splits, and I just want to follow up on that piece you did there, Crumbs, because I think a lot of it does come from Spica and the way he's been playing so far in Summer.
Absolutely. His champion pool, I think, is really fitting to what is powerful right now, and the team is rallying around him. That play just highlights that the solo lanes are very involved in letting him go for that kind of play. So it's a TSM recognizing we need to change the way we view the jungle and make sure that we stay on top of what is the optimal way of playing. So it's exciting to see that they're breaking out of the mold that has hurt them for so long.
Yeah, and I like the Lee Sin. I like that they gave him Kindred. And even that Kayn game, even though it was bad, I still like that they gave him Kayn, and I would even be like, hey, if you're going to play around it better this time and have a better game plan and what you want to do with it, I'm like totally fine with him trying it again. I mean, I understand it looked terrible the first time, but I appreciate that they're trying to let him be himself as opposed to warping him, you know, as they have always talked about, into like, you know, though Dardoch had previously said that they didn't let him play the game how he wanted. If he wants to play Kayn and they're going to lose a regular season game while he tries to experiment with it, I think that's fine.
Yeah, probably. Where do you land on how Spica's slotted into TSM so far this year?
I'm holding all my judgments for the future. I think last split when Dardoch was starting to branch out, I felt the exact same way where I was getting really hyped. Like, this is the jungler for TSM. Right now, Spica feels very similar where it's like, all right, he's making some really good plays, and I really like that they're giving him agency in the game, like Mark said. But we still got like 6 more weeks, so I really got to see how this guy plays out. So far, so good, though.
All right, so far so good. We'll take it as across the rift, not so far so good for 100 Thieves, who currently sit at 1-4. A win here, though, could build much-needed confidence after a very rough start for them.
It's been real tough, and I think a lot of it comes down more to their inner team play about seeing the same plays, being on the same page, because their actual objective control has been pretty good. They are ranked 4th in the league with first Drake rate at 60%, for their first Herald rates at 60%. And I think the second fastest team at getting first Drake, you know,
that's correct.
I think it's around 5 minutes and 43
seconds. It's on
seconds.
the screen, Mark. Look at your screen.
It just showed up. My point is that they're doing a good job with like what are usually indicators of team cohesion, but when you look at the actual plays and use your eyeballs, they're all over the place.
Well, this is early game objective control, so this is not like how the game goes.
Baron setup and stuff.
Yeah, for the first 10 minutes or so, their early game plan is very good. They usually have an idea of what they want to get, and this is kind of like Meteos' trademark to be able to get these things. But the problem comes when they actually have to coordinate more as a team when towers go down, and it's more about team play. And a big thing about TSM is like their number one play is we're going to go 3-man dive top.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, top lane. Let's talk about it then, because while we struggle to find maybe the person that 100 Thieves should index into, the conversation just always comes back to Someday, because the man has shown he's capable of putting an entire team on his back. So, Crumbs, talk me through the way that 100 Thieves has been utilizing him so far this split.
I mean, he's super talented, and so far he's been playing 2 games of Ornn and actually found a pretty solid win on Renekton. So they're just trying to give him a solid pick for the meta right now, and then just hoping that he can win his lane and snowball that way. There's not a lot of resources being sent to his side. He's playing a lot more weak side, and I think that's because the team is still trying to figure out how do we make our 2v2 mid work. So if they want to get some more wins, I think they'll continue to look towards Someday and maybe give him some more agency with his picks.
Yeah, so Mark, help me out on that, because I just heard, carry champion like Renekton, but now he's playing weak side, so I'm a little confused.
I think that's the general thing with a lot of this stuff is they always seem to be focused on having a lot of game plan around mid lane, like he's saying. They're playing a lot of these resource-hungry mid laners. And so I think that's part of the problem, is not being able to willingly all in on Someday as the carry topside. I think that's a different approach than what a lot of teams in North America generally have. We are definitely a mid and bot lane focused region in terms of our carry potentials.
All right, let's take a look at some win conditions for that first game of the day. Mark, coming right back to you for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, so for me, I actually am going to go a little different and against the grain right now. I actually don't want them to all in on someday. His champion pool is something that I haven't been impressed by. He hasn't picked up any of the new champs. You know, Renekton is the one carry champ we see him playing. Where's the Fioras, the Jaces, all these different things. So I actually want to flip what's going on with the mid-jungle duo. They've been giving a lot of resource-intensive champions to Ryoma and scaling champions like the Azirs and the Orianas and stuff like that. I want to see them give more into Meteos. I know he's had some flubs, and the community has pointed out a lot of them, but he's the second lowest in gold share amongst all junglers in the league. And so I want to see Ryoma put on the supportive position, give him the Karmas and the Gallios, put Meteos back on Olaf, but then actually support him trying to snowball and run away with what seems to be pretty good objective control and pathing.
All right, a little bit of a flip for the script there. Crumbs, what do you think the response for TSM would be?
I'd be pretty stoked if 100 Thieves go for the supportive mid. I actually think that you can't just pick those champions and band-aid the mid-jungle mismatch that you have, as we saw yesterday from the Dignitas game. So for me, for what TSM should do, I think they should go exactly what they did to Evil Geniuses, where you have a very strong jungler and a very aggressive mid laner that you can just continue to pick on. The fact that you're going to be able to have quicker priority in the mid lane and quicker priority in the jungle, and it kind of sucks for 100 Thieves that until they fix the mid 2v2 synergies, teams are going to continue to exploit that as the major weakness and try to find wins that way. So they need to make sure that that is fixed before they start really experimenting with the champion pools, because it doesn't matter what you pick, if you're still not entering the river at the same time, you're going to get picked apart.
Well, eyes on that mid-jungle 2v2. Let's get a quick look at predictions for the day, see where the three of you land for our 4 matches ahead of us. And I believe no surprise here that all 4 of you align across the day.
Way to go, guys. Pack it in.
I got to say one thing, though. I am actually 22-4.
Wait, you gotta stop with that,
confirm. Want to confirm, let everybody know.
I don't believe it. Where's your proof? I don't
As
see
long
any
as we
proof.
don't get profit crumbs again, I'm fine.
I'm putting a
Whatever you
stop
want.
to it there. That's going to do it for us here at the desk. I know everyone wants to see some gameplay, so let's head over to Pastry and Azale for 100 Thieves versus TSM.